Delhi has a limited growth in terms of banking even today, because most of the headquarters and all of that of all leading private sector banks also back in that time were all in Mumbai only.
Okay, 8 years with ICICI Bank, and then you came into real estate. So, was banking your first love?
2016 and 17, 18 was very bad time as far as the market is concerned. So Dubai actually remains a huge oasis of development.
Okay.
It is very, very development oriented. And I think, the way they have actually used the oil money that they earned and put it to right use. And today expanded and positioned itself as one of the biggest tourism hubs. So DLF always had this thing of making an area habitable.
Okay.
And once you make an area habitable, then you get in the people over there. And then you, of course, give a phenomenal product. Apartments that were selling in 2021, exactly 3 years ago, for 2,700, 2,800 rupees a square foot. And today selling at 10,000.
Wow.
So whenever someone says that, Gurgaon has gone through the roof and all of that, I still say that Noida is much better.
Much better.
Noida as a city is also, in my opinion, a little bit more livable because the infrastructure is much better. The green cover is much better.
Green cover is more than Gurgaon?
Much.
Okay.
Much. As a city, in my opinion, Noida scores over Gurgaon.
कल से नोएडा भेजे
नहीं Gurgaon as an ecosystem is much more evolved. There are far more corporates, there are far more MNCs. The existing airport is right next door and all of that. So I personally feel that Gurgaon as a city is more poised for even greater growth because there is far more job creation in Gurgaon. So if you look at how a city actually grows organically, I feel that there's greater economic activity.
in Gurgaon.
All the biggest hospitals, in fact, if you are aware of Mata Amrita Hospital, is the biggest
Hospital in Faridabad.
Is the biggest hospital in Asia.
Asia.
In my opinion, the future is very strongly with Dwarka Expressway for two reasons. A, connectivity to central Delhi as well as West Delhi, as well as the airport is very, and even South Delhi for that matter.
वेलकम टू पॉडकास्ट बाय स्पेस क्रिएटर्स. जब एक ऐसा पॉडकास्ट आप करें विच इज़ वेरी रिच इन इन्फॉर्मेशन, आप जितनी इन्फॉर्मेशन चाह रहे हो उसी के लिए मेरे ख्याल से लोग पॉडकास्ट देखते हैं या सुनते हैं, और उससे ज़्यादा आपको मिल जाए और बड़े कंसाइज और सिंपल तरीके से मिल जाए तो मज़ा आ जाता है. नाउ टुडेज़ पॉडकास्ट इज़ समथिंग लाइक दिस. वी हैव समबडी, हिज नेम इज़ मिस्टर हरिंदर ढिल्लन. ही इज़ Pan-India Head of Sales for BPTP currently. He has about 25 years of experience. He's started with ICICI Bank and then served with various developers including DLF and DAMAC. He has had very rich experiences not only in Gurgaon, also in Faridabad, also in Ghaziabad, Noida, and selling Dubai as well, and some other parts of Uttar Pradesh as well. Very, very mindful person. Given he's a banker, he has all the knowledge about numbers, and he's given us such calculations and such figures which are unheard of in most of our podcast. A very enriching story. So let's welcome Mr. Harinder Dhillon. Thank you, Ji.
Thank you, Vipin Ji, and it is my privilege to be with you today. Thank you so much.
तो हरिंदर जी, पहला क्वेश्चन तो हमारा यही है आपसे कि बहुत सारे लोग हमारे पॉडकास्ट में आके हमें ये कह देते हैं कि मैं बाय एक्सीडेंट आया रियल एस्टेट में, और आपने अबाउट यू स्पेंड 9 years with ICICI Bank.
Yeah, I was in ICICI for 8 years.
8 years, okay. 8 years with ICICI Bank, and then you came into real estate.
Right.
So, was banking your first love? कहाँ से आपकी स्टोरी शुरू हुई?
So once I completed my economics honors from Kirori Mal College way back in '96, then I did my MBA from TAPME.
Okay.
That's in Manipal. I had a campus placement with ICICI Bank, so
Achha.
things were very rosy. So I was by default. So my major was marketing. So I was always an intrinsically marketing person.
Okay.
तो बैंक के अंदर भी जो था, we used to have lot of things like things like sale of forex, sale of gold coins, sales of cross sale of insurance, cross sale of a lot of other financial products. So sale was already there. And plus, thanks to banking, I was very well, evolved in terms of systems and processes and, all those controls and all of that. So I think it was a great platform. Real estate, because, primarily all my investments, even though I was in banking, I was investing in real estate from a very young age.
Okay.
So, in fact, I had picked up back in the day DLF Princeton estate when यहाँ पे कुछ भी नहीं होता था. Sushant estate. I picked up a plot in Scenic Farms in Delhi. So I was always dabbling in real estate quite a lot.
Was it because of your family background they encouraged you?
So yeah, with grace of God, I come from a very good family background. However, the decision of going in for investments, even though there were a lot of other options, people do invest a lot in stock markets.
Yeah.
People invest in mutual funds, but I was always, having this thought regarding real estate because the kind of returns it had started giving, especially the kind of rental returns that started coming. I had invested in commercial and all also. So I kept flipping. So I always had that real estate bug that was there. Of course, banking was a very organized sector, and initially when I came into real estate, of course, back in 2006, etc., I think it was not that organized an industry, but it was wonderful. It's been a remarkable journey, in terms of real estate, what it used to be 18 years back and what it is today.
So what was the incident that triggered your...
So the incident was that primarily I was getting transferred. So we are basically two brothers.
Achha.
So one of my brother basically is based out of Australia in Sydney. So I always had to be in Delhi because
with your parents?
With my parents. And my son had just gone born at that time. I was getting transferred to Lucknow at that point of time. I didn't want to primarily move. And of course, real estate was always a passion with me. So one of my biggest wealth management customers was Mr. Naveen Raheja.
Naveen Raheja, okay.
Yeah, so he was, he had been very, very instrumental in bringing me into real estate, and he saw a lot of potential in me at that time. And I joined hands with him.
You told him that मेरी transfer हो रही है and I want to change.
No. So he was always
After you.
He probably saw a lot of potential in me.
Okay.
And of course, we had a great rapport. Of course, he had given me significant amount of deposits, and I had sold a lot of insurance and a lot of products to him. So there was a great rapport.
Okay.
And at that point of time, I just thought that, let me take that plunge. Let me understand what it's all about. And if I don't like it, I always have the option of coming back
to banking.
And another thing in banking is that if you have to grow if you have to really grow professionally, it has to ultimately be in Bombay.
Okay.
Or so Delhi has a limited growth in terms of banking even today, because most of the headquarters and all of that of all leading private sector banks also back in that time were all in Mumbai only. So in Delhi, you basically had regional offices only. So
this is for private sector, or this is for the
most of the government run banks as well.
Okay.
But some of them, of course, do have their headquarters here as well. But in Delhi, for most of the private sector banks, the headquarters are in Mumbai.
That's why it's called the financial capital.
That is why it is. It has always been the financial capital. So there is a limitation to the extent that you can grow in your hometown, and you don't want to take any transfers out of that, and you want to stay in one place only. So there is a limitation to that. Of course, I was doing wonderfully well. I had joined ICICI Bank as a management trainee, and I had grown to the rank of Chief Manager 1. So that is a very, very I had one of the biggest branches of Delhi with me, that is Nehru Place, which was a grade A branch, even in those days. So I was doing wonderfully well in my career there. I had got about 4 promotions in about 8 years. But then this aspect did come in. Of course, it wasn't something of an accident, to be very honest, because I was already exposed to real estate.
And you had a client who was from real estate.
Yes. And I had a fantastic rapport with him, a thorough gentleman. And of course, I took the plunge.
And you joined Raheja Developers. This was in which year? 2006?
This was beginning of 2007.
2007. Okay. And what all projects did you create?
So
over there?
Raheja was a very long story. I was there for about 9.5 years,
9.5.
and of course, a lot of projects got. We had, in fact, the first licenses on the Dwarka expressway, yeah, under the new master plan.
Okay.
Sector 108, Sector 109, Sector 92, 95. All of those projects were launched while I was the sales head over there. And of course, yes. In fact, I joined. I don't even remember at what level I had joined. I think it was DGM. Then I had become GM, and then of course you rise up the ranks and all. So of course I had become sales head after a period of time. There, of course, I was handling marketing, sales, advertising, a lot of aspects. In fact, even Mr. Raheja had, of course, taught me a lot of aspects of real estate himself as well. I was even interacting with government departments. So there was a lot of activities that I was handling while in Raheja itself.
So the exposure was much.
Exposure was phenomenal. I had there was not a single government department that I would have not interacted with.
Wow.
And carried out licensing activities also. So it was a huge learning platform. I think it taught me a lot about real estate, and I think it has played a very significant role into how it has shaped my future career as well.
Yeah. And then from there you shifted to DLF.
Yeah, so in Raheja I had, of course, when I had joined, Raheja Atlantis was already on its way. I think it was somewhere, the structure was about half complete at that stage, or maybe less than half. Maybe it was around the 4th or the 5th floor.
From what we've heard, Atlantis is back in motion now.
No, that is Revanta.
Achha, that is, sorry.
So Atlantis
is on the NH8.
Yeah, Atlantis Sector 30. So this is way back I'm talking about.
Atlantis is one of the most successful.
So that is
projects.
Sector 31.
Yeah.
And this is just exactly opposite the 32nd milestone.
Yeah.
So that project was, I think, on the 4th or the 5th floor of construction when I had joined. And that was beautifully delivered. One of the most iconic, even today on National Highway. Raheja Mall had just been, launched a few months back, and the excavation had just happened. I still remember.
On Sona Road.
Yeah, on Sona Road. IMT Manesar, Raheja Square had been delivered.
Okay.
So that product, and then there was of course a project in Panipat as well. That was by the name of Raheja Expo Mall and Trade Tower. So this was primarily where we started. Of course, there was a lot of other land bank that was there. Sona was to come subsequently. A lot of other Dwarka Expressway land patches that subsequently came, Sector 88, Sector 99. Some of the farmhouse developments that they did later. So all of that did come on later. Yeah, of course, it was a very interesting journey and gave a lot of learning, gave a lot of growth. I launched Raheja Vedanta.
Okay.
Vedas, Vedanta floors, Atharva, Shilas, Navodaya, Sampada. Then there was when affordable housing came in to Gurgaon. Then we had launched Raheja Maheshwara.
Okay.
Then there was Krishna affordable housing scheme which we had launched in Sona back in the day.
I also didn't know so many projects of Raheja.
Yeah, there were quite a lot of projects, and I think it was a great platform. It gave a lot of insight. It connected me with some of the most wonderful channel partners, some of the most wonderful investors that I carried with me as well. And it was a remarkable journey.
And then you shifted. What made you shift to
Yeah,
DLF?
so a better opportunity came in, of course, and that was towards the end of 2016, towards the last quarter of 2016 actually, that I had actually shifted, and I had this very interesting position. So I joined DLF as the head of New Gurgaon sales.
Okay.
And that included all the projects.
This was because of your exposure to New Gurgaon.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I had tremendous amount. So yeah, in fact, in Raheja, we even had projects in Dharweda. So there was exposure to a large, even tier 2 cities and all of that. So
then you joined DLF.
DLF, of course, was absolutely, I think, again a great platform and a great opportunity. And in fact, that was the time when RERA was just coming in.
Just coming in 2016.
Yeah, 2017 was when it did get notified. Yeah, I still remember 1st June 2017. And before that, of course, we had so the platform, the whole bouquet that I had with me included even plots in DLF phase 1, 2, 3, 4, all of that. I had some of the commercial stock, which included Star Mall, Star Tower, Grand Mall, Mega Mall, all of these which are there in DLF 1 and all of that. Then, of course, the new Gurgaon projects, which included corporate greens. A lot of the, in fact, huge amount of stock was still available in corporate greens at that time.
It didn't take off that well.
It hadn't taken off because people weren't perceiving it. There were a lot of questions about Dwarka Expressway. There were a lot of questions about CPR. There were a lot of questions about how the entire infra would come up.
How difficult was that time when Dwarka Expressway was kind of stalled?
Yeah.
And there was so much stock which was sold, I think, in 2011-12. But Dwarka Expressway was stalled. So how was it for you as a professional at that time?
So, when having seen that entire area from early 2007 till today, it gave a lot of joy when, just a few months back, I was able to drive my car on that road finally. But that was fantastic. I've seen that so you can imagine what it was in 2007.
I know.
We had to actually...
You couldn't reach there directly.
You couldn't reach there. So there was absolutely nothing. It was all, absolutely inaccessible. We had to actually put, balloons up in the air to actually say
कि ये वाली site है
ये यहाँ पे जाके है. So it was a completely different kind of an era. But yes, I think a lot has changed now. Coming back to the time that DLF was there. So
बीच वाला time बताओ ना, जब when it was stuck, जब ये रुक चुका था Dwarka Expressway, how was that time for you as a professional?
So it was very challenging because when you've got someone's hard-earned money invested and government infrastructure doesn't come in, it was very, very atrocious, unfortunately. That even though a lot of developers had launched projects, construction was going in round the clock.
And I think सबको ऐसे लगा कि ये तो बन ही जाएगा जल्दी. And
नहीं, क्वेश्चन मार्क्स आने शुरू हो गए थे.
आ गए थे.
बहुत बड़े क्वेश्चन मार्क्स आने शुरू हो गए थे. There was a lot of believability factor which was there. People were not too sure what it's going to be. That is when Extension Road overtook in a very big way.
Very big way.
And the price gap really increased. Because I still remember 2008 when the Lehman Brothers crisis was there. Emaar had launched Emerald Estate at that stage. So I still remember that price was somewhere around 2,800 rupees a square foot, and that was the same price that was there
and
that we were selling on Dwarka Expressway for Raheja Atharva. So
and that also brand like Emaar had the same price. That means in a way Golf Course Extension Road was much cheaper.
Yes. So had Dwarka, of course, now it has caught up quite a lot, but had the same road come in back in the day, it would have been a different story altogether.
Yeah.
So it has come in at least a decade late. However, it's still come in. I feel that it is wonderful the way the government has actually delivered the road finally has actually erased all that pain and the black spots and all of that was there. That has all got erased. But yeah, there was a lot of problems in those days because there were unfinished projects. People were dependent on tankers. Water was a problem. Electricity, power generation was a problem for those sectors. There were approach roads were an issue.
I think एक बड़ी important चीज़ है which a lot of viewers may not know. Investors blamed developers कि developers ने हमारा पैसा ले लिया है और वहाँ पे deliver नहीं कर रहे. But don't you think in many cases investors also stop paying the installments?
Actually, what happens is that at that time, around 2000, post 2014, between 2014 and 21, till late 21, the market went into an absolutely standstill kind of a situation. And infra, of course, started ramping up towards 2018-19 onwards. But actually, if you look at that period where nothing was actually moving on ground, even though there was price rise, so a lot of investors did make money even in those days. So you did have resale transactions happening even on Dwarka.
For
Expressway.
example, in which product were people making money at
So
that time?
they did, of course, trading did happen. Not the kind of returns that you are
That
expecting.
happened in the last 2-3 years.
That has happened. This has never ever happened. But in those days also, of course, there were small profits that people had earned. But there was a period in which things did get stuck up. I think 2013-14 onwards till about 19 was till about 21 was quite and 2014 till 19 the belief that the road would come was also a question mark.
Disappeared. People बात तो लोग ऐसे करते थे आएगी ही नहीं रोड कभी भी.
तो वो 19 के बाद बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग रिवाइवल हो गया in terms of infra in that belt, and I think that is when it actually catapulted. And post COVID second wave towards 21 end, that is when it really zoomed.
I'll tell you, हम लोग my office was in the Golf Course Road, and हम Golf Course Road बेचते थे. Golf Course extension was our bread and butter. So a lot of people who had projects that side हमारे को बोलते थे आप द्वारका एक्सप्रेस पे नहीं बेचो. नहीं, हम तो गोल्फ कोर्स रोड या गोल्फ कोर्स एक्सटेंशन के ब्रोकर हैं, हम नहीं बेचेंगे द्वारका एक्सप्रेस पे. 2021, just before the second wave, is when I had a meeting with Mr. Balla Vatika, and he said देखो तुम्हारे को कौन सा प्रोजेक्ट करना है. And we went and saw 88B, and जब वो देखा and I saw that work was happening, and some people told me when the second wave was on also, the work didn't stop on the Dwarka Expressway,
Right.
which was quite amazing.
Right.
मतलब second wave चल रही है और यहाँ काम नहीं रुक रहा है.
Right.
Then we also took a decision, okay, let's sell Dwarka Expressway.
Right. So yeah, I think hats off. The government has really put in a lot of effort to make this road a reality, and not only that road, the entire CPR, the way Southern Periphery has got connected today to Dwarka Expressway, I think it's really remarkable. I think hats off, and I think it's very visible the way they have ramped up infrastructure all over the place.
Yeah.
So I think that is one part. Coming back to the part
DLF.
that you were discussing regarding DLF, so I think it was a phenomenal platform. The conception of CPR had happened in those days. So we knew that corporate greens was going to be right in the heart of everything. So it's
Which
actually
today it is.
It is. So everyone wants something there today. In those days, it was very tough to actually sell an inch of space in that building, in that complex.
5,000 रुपए में बिकता नहीं था.
5,000 रुपए में we had a card price of 5,800 rupees a square foot. I still remember, and there was a huge amount of inventory which was there.
And आज 15,000 में मिलता नहीं है.
Bilkul. So we had worked very hard even in those days to sell that product strongly. A lot of channel partners got associated with DLF that we had got on the board, and of course DLF already had a lot of channel partners, but a lot of channel partners from the new Gurgaon
From that
belt.
side, that's why they chose you.
So yes, there was phenomenal success of the remaining apartments in Primus, Regal Gardens, Sky Court,
Okay.
Newtown Heights. There was still quite a lot of inventory which was there. So we sold all of that. That went really well. Corporate Greens, we revived the entire thing, went very strongly. The sale of plots had started. So it was a great journey with DLF. And then, of course, the way the entire habitation exercise. So the objective was not only to sell, but was to make people move into that city.
Okay.
So that I think was very, very successful. There were concepts like move-in rebate. So, that was a peak of recession. 2016 and 17, 18 was very bad time as far as the market is concerned. So there were a lot of new concepts that we came up with, including move-in rebate, and of course, as far as delivery, quality of construction, of course, always A grade. But yeah, it needed a lot of convincing for people to actually buy, even with a brand like DLF.
Yeah.
So I think, that I think was a huge success that we were able to achieve. If I go back in time and I look at the time at Raheja also, it was superlative success. that we achieved. And I always feel that it's not one person, it's the entire team. And the entire system that works with you. So I think in Raheja also there was humongous amount of sale that took place.
I have a question. When you said with DLF, most of that areas, it was the idea was not only selling. आप सिर्फ बेचना नहीं चाह रहे थे. I think you wanted people to move in there.
That's right.
Now, हमने नोटिस किया है कि DLF की प्रॉपर्टीज़ में मूव-इन्स बाकियों से बहुत जल्दी होते हैं. चाहे वो कमर्शियल प्रॉपर्टीज़ हो, चाहे वो रेजिडेंशियल प्रॉपर्टी हो, relatively from other developers जल्दी होते हैं. What is the reason behind it, given you worked inside the system?
So the what DLF as an organization works on is to ensure that there is livability of that area. So there is enough social infrastructure, which is put in place. So even in New Gurgaon, in those days also, schools, markets, all of that was operational. Roads were already done. So Dwarka expressway belt didn't have roads, but New Gurgaon had roads because DLF built them. New Gurgaon had enough power infrastructure.
Achha.
Potable water, all of that in place. So DLF always had this thing of making an area habitable.
Okay.
And once you make an area habitable, then you get in the people over there, and then you of course give a phenomenal product. In those days, of course, today a lavish clubhouse is a basic thing, but in those days it wasn't. So Primus clubhouse may pale in comparison to a lot of the clubhouses that have come up now.
Today, but at those days it was really great.
Crest Clubhouse was talked about, Park Place was talked about. But so clubhouses even in places like DLF Regal Gardens, Sky Court.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So all of that was done really tastefully. So that that entire concept of lifestyle for people to actually start living in a beautiful community, I think that basically started off in those days.
Is their intent from day one when they're making is that to have people start living there, not just selling?
Yes, and then this whole thing of QRT teams, so proper patrolling, security.
QRT, quick response
teams.
Okay.
So all of that basically started with DLF over there.
Okay.
So I think this entire foundation of having livability, habitation to be the prime focus, I think is of course ultimately guided at giving greater appreciation to your property as well, because the better the profile of customers who are going to be coming to stay there, the more is the appreciation, the more is the overall outlook of a project. So I think that is something that was really remarkable as far as DLF is concerned.
Got it. And what was the reason to move on from DLF?
So there was a huge platform that was coming up. Dubai market was peaking at that time.
Yeah.
And
this was 2016, 17.
No. So this is early 2019.
19. Okay.
So DLF was about 2.5 years and was phenomenal journey, great learning, and I think excellent growth as well. And in those days, of course, Dubai had started opening up in a very big way. There was phenomenal price appreciation that was happening. DAMAC, Emaar, all were approaching, with very lucrative offers. And of course, one was growing as a professional. And so basically I set up the entire North India operations.
Okay,
along
with
Ananta Raghuvanshi ma'am. And so I was reporting into her. And I was primarily taking care of the entire Delhi NCR. Okay. Of course, but that we were sourcing business from all over India. And we set up our office at Nehru Place. And that I think it was a phenomenal experience, because the amount of appreciation that Dubai properties were, and not all developers, DAMAC was really right at the forefront of it, because the quality of properties that they were offering was absolutely
branded
top-notch.
Residences, everything, townships.
Everyone wanted to own something or the other in Dubai.
Okay.
I think that craze continues till today. I think it has even increased, because people whom we made invest in those days are in touch with me even today.
Okay.
Yeah. And they are very happy with their investments, because Dubai as a market has really grown
Massively.
massively.
Massive. What is the reason? Dubai market ka grow karne
So
ka
I
reason
think
kya hai?
I think it's always the center of everything. So anything that is happening, if Brexit happens, in those days Brexit was there. A lot of money was coming in from England, was getting parked in Dubai. Russia-Ukraine war took place. A
All the
lot of
money
money
came-
came in from Russia as well, even from Ukraine. Today the Middle East is disturbed. A lot of money, I'm sure, would be coming in from places like Iran and all of these, Lebanon and all of that. So it's actually at the heart of the global scenario.
Now, another question. उनके neighborhood में war है. उनके north में भी war है, उनके west में भी war है. How come they manage to be peaceful? You work with
आप
them.
इंडिया को ही देख लीजिए.
हाँ.
Pakistan is completely disturbed,
Yeah.
right? Bangladesh was in very bad shape.
Bad shape.
Nepal was in bad shape as well some time back. So, but we are not. So Dubai actually remains a huge oasis of development.
Okay.
It is very, very development oriented, and I think the way they have actually used the oil money that they earned and put it to right use, and today expanded and positioned itself as one of the biggest tourism hubs.
Safety, security is really great.
Absolutely. There is no comparison. And the way they are, and secondly, it's a huge. You don't pay taxes at all.
Uh-huh.
So that itself is a huge thing. And I think the kind of appreciation, the kind of returns that accrue in Dubai, I think is absolutely phenomenal. But yes, one gap that was there, we generated huge amount of sales. My network in terms of HNIs in Delhi NCR, I don't think there would be any HNI family that we wouldn't have gotten business from in those days. But at the end of the day, when the offer came in from ATS to head nationally as the national sales head, I think I took that offer primarily because at the end of the day, real estate is still a local business, until the time you do not have that, the way you're sitting, you have your project sites around you only and you're able to take in people. So we had this challenge always of, flying over people to Dubai sometimes, explaining things.
But didn't you feel like shifting to Dubai? Because if you would have asked, they would have.
Yeah. But like I said to you earlier also, my biggest challenge is that
Your parents.
Yeah, so it's not a challenge. I love that.
You love that.
And I love Delhi NCR.
More than.
I love Delhi NCR quite a lot. It's not that there is any repentance or there has been any limitation that, with that, I'm very, very happy.
You still stay with your family,
of course,
your parents.
Of course.
Yeah, that's so great. And then you went to ATS, coming back to that.
Yeah, so ATS, I got a profile as the national sales head. So I was heading the entire operations, whether it was Noida, Greater Noida, Ghaziabad, Yamuna Expressway. They had projects in Dehradun, Chandigarh, over here in Gurgaon as well. So that was again a beautiful chapter, because in terms of quality of construction, the way they've actually institutionalized phenomenal quality of construction methods was something.
Like, just say a little bit more for a normal man to understand what is institutionalized.
Yeah, so one of the biggest things is it's not outsourced.
Okay.
So even the
contractors are not outsourced.
Yeah. So it's all on roll. I think the amount of pains that Mr. Anand took to actually set up the kind of quality practices that are there in ATS is really remarkable.
Okay.
And I think every project that they have delivered, I think is a testament to the construction quality and the way they actually, and the layouts. In fact, if you look at the layouts also of ATS, I would say that they are definitely among the best.
Among the best. Okay. And I think ATS gave you an exposure into another state as well, which was Noida primarily. What was the difference between Gurgaon and Noida?
Yeah, so Noida in 2019 is very different from what it is today.
Okay.
So today it is almost at par on price point with Gurgaon. And I think Noida, the biggest thing was that there in those days, in 2019, there had been a lot of default by a lot of developers.
Massive
There was a
default.
huge amount of trust deficit, much more than what it was in Gurgaon.
Okay.
So they were much smaller builders. There was a lot of default. There were a lot of issues regarding quality, on-time delivery. A lot of people had been defrauded. There were a lot of issues which were there. ATS, of course, was a fantastic brand. There were challenges because there were financial issues that were coming up in the company as well. But despite all of that, I think it was remarkable that the delivery didn't suffer at all. So in terms of the quality of construction, in terms of the way they executed the entire project was absolutely top notch. So that was very good. Their brand, of course, the sales that were there was remarkable as well. And in hindsight, what I feel is the amount of appreciation that the Noida market has given between post 2021. 21
Okay.
is much more than Gurgaon.
Is much more than Gurgaon.
So even when we the projects that we launched in Noida Extension, which was not a very desirable area at that point
in time.
So there the price points were 3,600 to 4,200 rupees a square foot. Today those same apartments are selling at 12,000 to 14,000.
Wow.
So you can't compare Gurgaon.
3 times.
गुड़गांव में उस लेवल की अप्रिसिएशन
नहीं हुई है,
कहीं पे भी नहीं हुई.
आप गुड़गांव वालों को सबको नोएडा पे भिजवाओगे.
So I'm just comparing. Since we are just discussing this whole journey. I know. I am primarily just putting up all those. So Yamuna Expressway, for example, apartments that were selling in 2021, exactly 3 years ago, for 2,800 rupees a square foot, are today selling at 10,000.
Wow.
So whenever someone says that Gurgaon has gone through the roof and all of that, I still say that Noida has gone much better in the last 3 years. Yes, Gurgaon as an ecosystem is much more evolved. There are far more corporates, there are far more MNCs. The existing airport is right next door and all of that. But Noida in the recent years has really
come up. Now I have 2 questions around this. One is
and one more thing before Noida as a city is also, in my opinion, a little bit more livable because the infrastructure is much better. The green cover is much better.
Green cover is more than Gurgaon?
Much more.
Okay.
Much more.
Okay.
And I think I don't observe any traffic congestion over there.
Okay.
Civic amenities are much better. So as a city, in my opinion, Noida scores over Gurgaon.
Kal se Noida beche.
Nahi. So this is something that we are discussing on a very personal level. I am not at all getting into a professional discussion here, but this is very honestly what I experienced.
I know. Now, 2 questions. One, is the government got to do with something जो नोएडा में change हुआ सारा?
I think Noida, I think they basically had a CEO system in Noida. So that really worked out in a very big way.
Very big way.
And I think not to say that Noida authority, of course, has a lot of issues. So probably Huda and the Haryana government are much more responsive and better. Probably. I will not like to make any other statement on this.
Yeah.
But what I see on the ground is, of course, despite all the increase in real estate projects, increase in population and all of that, the planning for that city is far better.
Far better from day one. Okay. One more question now. हमारी डिस्कशन में ना 2 चीज़ें आई हैं कि नोएडा बहुत पीछे था गुड़गांव से. 2700 का एग्जाम्पल, 10,000, 3600 का एग्जाम्पल. ये सिमिलरली इसका पैरेलल मैं बोल रहा हूँ DLF कैपिटल ग्रीन्स, जो कि 5,000 में बेचना मुश्किल था और आज 15,000 में मिलना मुश्किल है. ये दो एग्जाम्पल्स को अगर हम लें, फ्रॉम दिस व्हाट डू यू डिराइव, एंड बिकॉज you have been an investor and lover of real estate first.
Yes.
And then
immediately after college.
After college. And then a real estate professional later. तो आपका दोनों experience है, and you had banking in the middle.
Right.
So you've seen all those other products as well.
Right.
So what will be your advice to an investor when they look at real estate as an asset class where sometimes things get stuck and then they just rise in both these cases?
So my assessment is that, you should definitely go with the developer who's seen all the ups and downs, first of all.
Okay.
So I think it's very important for you to choose the right developer.
Okay.
And checking out the right developer by checking out their track record. And, what has been their learnings, how have they delivered, what has been their outlook towards it. So I will not like to fault any new developers that are coming up right now. But the only thing is when you've got experience and when you've delivered it and when, your integrity, your intention is absolutely clean, clear and pure, that comes out.
Okay.
So otherwise no developer is going to survive for even a few years. So it's very important to check out the track record of a developer. Secondly, how good is their financial health today? All of that needs to be seen. How well are they delivering the projects? How well have they delivered projects in the past? What is the level of customer complaints which are there? What is their attitude towards resolving customer issues, legal disputes, all of that part? Or how strong is their documentation? I think that part comes a little later. If you look at these parts itself, I think this is something which is very important. So I think all of these points definitely make a huge amount of
difference.
And then of course the area, the location, the project per se, the project's outlook itself, and how dense it is going to be, what are the kind of facilities that are being provided in that, what is the level of lifestyle is that project going to be delivering. So that actually, so when a very trustworthy developer is talking about all of these things, that makes a lot of sense. But if someone who is not that trustworthy, so I would not like to define who is not trustworthy, right? So it's just that you have to actually have a huge amount of delivery that you've already done for people to understand what your intent is, what is your background, and how you've actually taken care of things.
Got it. Now this brings us to the question. Then you switch to BPTP, and we will talk a little more about what you just said around BPTP. So what made you shift from?
So ATS was a phenomenal journey. I think it was a great platform, great learning experience, and fantastic team also that we had over there. And of course it gave me exposure into markets like Ghaziabad, where we had commercial projects, Noida extension where we had residential and commercial both, Noida as such as well, that is on the expressway, we had quite a lot of residential and commercial projects. Yamuna expressway, Dehradun, the best township of Dehradun was developed by ATS, Heavenly Foothills on Sahastradhara Road. So that was a completely different market altogether. Chandigarh, we had two different land parcels. One was in Mohali, one was in Deravasi. There again, and then of course in Gurgaon. So I think at that stage of time, towards end of 21, one was looking at even a bigger growth, a bigger platform, and a developer that was rebounding back in a very strong way. So BPTP was there. Of course, the platform that was offered was, of course, of National Sales Aid again. So I think it was a great opportunity. And BPTP, of course, since when I joined in 2006, it had already, come up in early 2007. It had already come up in a very big way. Greater Faridabad and all of that. So we knew that entire thing, and the euphoria that was surrounded with that, with the brand, even in those days. So we knew all of that, and today, of course, there were a lot of ups and downs, but the way the entire rebound story has happened is fairy tale actually.
Can you describe, because this section is very important from the perspective of viewers understanding that a developer, when they go down, they can come back as well. And for a lot of developers that might be watching who need a rebound.
So I think
kya actions liye, what steps were done, what detailing was done, what was the intention?
Really hats off to the entire management of BPTP, Mr. Kabul Chawla, Mr. Aman Chawla, Madam Anjali Chawla. I think coming back from that position of weakness, coming back, resolving every single customer dispute, every single legal issue.
Can you explain the depth of I would say the weak position? What was the depth of the weak
So the
position?
point obviously is that yes, there were delays in projects, some attributed to government inaction, some attributed of course to some internal issues as well. I think primarily what happens is that when you come back very strongly with an intent that boss, come what may, I have to ensure that my projects are going to be delivered. My customers are going to get a great project. They will get the home that they deserve, and I will give them something more than what they put their money for.
That was the intent.
That was the intent, a very strong intent, even if it meant liquidating some of the assets.
So BPTP liquidated.
I think it is remarkable the way that some of the really marquee assets were liquidated just for the sake of
I think one was
completing.
Shahpurji, Palanji.
There were a lot of land banks that were liquidated. Shahpurji, Palanji being one, Godrej in Faridabad being another, a landmark building on the National Highway 8 in Udyog Vihar.
Yeah.
So,
All this was liquidated to complete the deliveries of the stock.
deliveries, deliver the value that customers wanted, deliver all the infrastructure in the townships, be it development of roads, be it development of drainage, sewerage, electricity, all of that. Get in OCs for all your projects, resolve with customers, sit across every single customer and resolve legal issues.
And you were part of all this happening.
I was part of the sales process.
Achha, you were part of the sales.
The hard work was done by Mr. Chawla and of course the projects team and the licensing team, the legal team, customer care team. So I think that was a real hard work that was done. Yes, my part of course started 3 years back when I joined.
Bring in the money.
Was to come back. Market was beginning to look up in a very strong way, like I said, towards end of 21. Estaire Gardens, we launched our DDJ, that was Green Oaks, which went very well.
Very well, I know.
And that was the turning point. Then again, we came up with plotted development in Estaire Gardens by the name of Fortuna Plots.
Yeah.
So we had about 400 odd plots. We had about 150 odd plots in Green Oaks. All of them, very proud to say, today have gone up 2.5 times.
Wow.
And sold out, all completely sold out. Amstoria, if I look at what it was early 22, the built up has gone up 2.5 times as well.
Wow.
From the price point of about 6,000 at which we were selling in those days, it has gone up to almost 17,000 today.
Wow.
So almost 3 times rather. And Faridabad, the parkland plots that had been launched back in the day in 2007, 2008. Today, those were sold at 7,000 rupees a square yard earlier. Today, they are trading at between 1.5, 1.7.
Wow.
So, आप imagine करिए कि किस लेवल
का increase हुआ.
तो ये सिर्फ increase ऐसे नहीं हुआ, वहाँ पे proper तरीके से gated communities develop की गई, वहाँ पे club houses deliver किए गए, वहाँ पे सारी facilities दी गई. So you actually delivered value. And you ensured that every single customer residing in that entire city of Greater Faridabad was delivered services par excellence, be it in terms of wonderful roads, good playgrounds, and so, I mean, a lot of people don't have exposure to Faridabad sitting even over here in Gurgaon. So you should definitely go and have a look. Okay. The level of roads that have been delivered, the level of clubhouses that have happened, the level of civic amenities that have been provided, is absolutely phenomenal. So in terms of retail, social infrastructure, all top schools were brought in. All the biggest hospitals, in fact, if you are aware of, Mata Amrita Hospital is the biggest
hospital in Faridabad.
Is the biggest hospital in Asia.
Asia?
Yes. A lot of people don't know that.
Wow.
You should actually check your facts. So that is there in
How many beds?
So I do not remember the exact number of beds right now. We can just check on Google and just come back to you. But it is the biggest.
Okay. And it is in Faridabad?
It is in Greater Faridabad.
And in BPTP's township?
Yeah, very close to our township, just adjoining. So, and so in fact, if you look at it, all the social infrastructure, some of the leading schools like DPS, Shiv Nadar, Modern, those are there within our township itself.
Wow.
Many of the other hospitals like Accord Hospital, that's within our township. A lot of the other, retail, which is there, where all the brands are coming in, BPTP district walks that we are now delivering. Those have taken retail to a completely different level.
I've heard BPTP settled more than 2,000 customer complaints and cases.
So that actually displays our intent.
Uh-huh.
Our intent is not to just keep on mindlessly selling. Our intent is to carry every single investor
Along with.
who has invested his hard-earned money with us, to give him a proper return and to give him that product that he deserves. So I think that is something that we have done very successfully, and that everyone does recognize. So I mean, if you look at the quality of clubhouses that we have delivered in Estair Gardens, Amstoria, Sector 37D, at Pride in Faridabad, in Discovery Park, which is a group housing in Sector 80 in Faridabad. You know, all of these are absolutely better than the best in my opinion.
द्वारका एक्सप्रेसवे जैसे अब आप बोल रहे हो कि इज़ वन ऑफ द बेस्ट विच हैज़ कम अप, वो आपको लगता है द्वारका एक्सप्रेसवे के प्राइसेस गोल्फ कोर्स एक्सटेंशन से ऊपर चले जाएंगे?
बिल्कुल चले जाएंगे. मैं कुछ टाइम पहले आपसे नोएडा की बात कर रहा था. सो ऑफ कोर्स दैट वाज अ ग्रेट स्टोरी इन इटसेल्फ. हाउएवर आई पर्सनली फील दैट गुड़गांव एज अ सिटी is more poised for even greater growth, because there is far more job creation in Gurgaon. So if you look at how a city actually grows organically, I feel that there's greater economic activity
in Gurgaon.
So be it your IT sector, be it the services industry, or be it even manufacturing for that matter, all taken together is a far more huge story as compared to Noida, and I think that will always be. Secondly, the corporate sector in Gurgaon is very, very strong.
Very strong.
And it is growing even more. So that level is of course always going to be there. And what was actually lacking was the infra. What was actually lacking was not only physical infrastructure, but also a little bit more on the social infrastructure. I think that has all happened to a very large extent. The retail infrastructure was always there. And even the luxury or the leisure infrastructure was always there. I think there it always scored over Noida. But I personally feel today, with the kind of infrastructure that Gurgaon has and what it has in future as well, I think that will always ensure that it solidifies its number one position in NCR. And for that matter, I'll also put across one more thing. Faridabad is always overlooked when we talk about NCR.
Yes, nobody
recognizes it.
Recognizes it.
But I personally feel there is a huge scope and a huge opportunity in Faridabad.
Now as well?
Because there are two major expressways that are nearing completion. One is the expressway which is connecting Jewar to Faridabad. That is already ready. So you are able to reach from Jewar Airport. Incidentally, the first flight from Jewar Airport is just about to start. You would be
today?
Is about to start, I think, in a few days.
Acha, in a few days.
So that airport is ready, the runway testing has happened, all of that is done. So if you actually look at it, the connectivity, the amount of time it is going to take from Jewar Airport to Faridabad is lesser than Jewar Airport to Noida.
So how much is that from Jewar?
Barely 20 minutes from Jewar Airport to
Faridabad.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the second connectivity that is 95% ready is the one coming in from Sarai Kale Khan in Delhi. That is the Delhi-Mumbai Expressway.
That I know in December it will be functional.
Right. So that is also passing
from Faridabad.
Within Faridabad only, and that is just adjoining our BPTP township.
And I think it will, from Sarai Kale Khan, it will take about 40 minutes just to hit Mumbai Expressway.
No, so the Mumbai Expressway starts at Sarai Kale Khan.
Acha, it starts from there.
So that entire from Sarai Kale Khan, rather than going towards Maharani Bagh, that road basically goes along the Yamuna River only, crosses Kalindi Kunj and goes towards Faridabad.
And you don't need to come to Gurgaon or cross Sona to take the expressway.
Not at all.
You
can straight away from.
And I think it will touch on the 20th kilometer of Mumbai Expressway.
Right. So I think these are the two huge growth stories for Faridabad. Secondly, there's a huge functional IMT already over there. That is Industrial Model Township.
Yes.
There are a lot of beautiful group housings that BPTP has delivered over there. A lot of good plotted developments, all gated with clubhouses, sports facilities, open areas, which make investing in Faridabad also a huge, story today.
Many people don't know this. about Faridabad. Coming back to Dwarka Expressway versus golf course extension.
So Dwarka Expressway, I think, so both parts have their own pluses and minuses. In my opinion, the future is very strongly with Dwarka Expressway for two reasons. A, connectivity to central Delhi as well as West Delhi, as well as the airport is very, and even South Delhi for that matter. Because of the Dwarka Expressway and the connected roads with that, and secondly that tunnel which is also going to be inaugurated very, very soon.
Panipat to
so the tunnel which is right next to the new the runway that had been opened earlier. So I think that will always make Dwarka Expressway a very, very attractive proposition. A lot of social infrastructure that was not there earlier is come up already. But a lot more needs to come up. So I think price appreciation, there is still a large amount of scope there.
On Dwarka Expressway.
Right.
Okay. Let's talk about something that in these 18 years in real estate, what has been the most challenging time for you as a professional?
The most challenging time as a professional has been, the time when we had sold a lot of apartments in Raheja Developers. And Raheja Developers as an organization, phenomenal work done in terms of delivery also, a lot of, but due to the delay as far as the government is concerned, there was a lot of customer issues which were there. And then of course there were a lot of problems related to electricity supply, water supply, all of those things. That is when you as a professional do not feel great having, sold and put in someone's hard-earned money, and then people have an issue in commuting. So those are some things, of course, a developer can only do to a certain extent. But when these issues are, of course, government created, obviously these are, of course, things of the past. One need not dwell into all of that. I think the current situation is much better. So overall.
तो हरिंदर जी एक चीज़ और बताओ, गिवन आप बैंकिंग बैकग्राउंड से हैं, तो पहली चीज़ बैंकिंग बैकग्राउंड से होना, नंबर्स की नॉलेज होना, डज दैट हेल्प फॉर अ करियर इन रियल एस्टेट?
डेफिनेटली हेल्प करता है, बिकॉज जब आप बैंकिंग में होते हो ना तो आप अलग अलग फाइनेंशियल इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स की कंपैरिजन करते हो. और रियल एस्टेट में भी हम लोग आज की डेट में जब कंपैरिजन दिखाते हैं, लेट्स से हमने ये दिखाना है कि एम्स्टोरिया के अंदर कितनी प्राइस अप्रिसिएशन आई, तो उसमें हम गोल्ड का भी कंपैरिजन दिखाते हैं, एफडीज का भी दिखाते हैं, म्यूचुअल फंड्स का भी दिखाते हैं, प्लॉट्स का भी दिखाते हैं, अपार्टमेंट्स का भी दिखाते हैं. तो ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. आई थिंक बैंकर जब आप ऑलरेडी रह चुके हैं तो आप इंट्रिंसिकली फंडामेंटली वेरियस कंपैरिजन्स के साथ ऑलरेडी प्ले कर चुके हैं. तो आई थिंक बहुत इट मेक्स अ लॉट ऑफ सेंस.
सो बैंकर्स के लिए रियल एस्टेट एक अच्छा फ्यूचर है.
बहुत अच्छा फ्यूचर है, बहुत अच्छी इंडस्ट्री है और बहुत इवॉल्व हो गई है अब, और आने वाले टाइम में और भी अच्छी होगी. अब तो बल्कि हम लोगों ने तो जब ज्वाइन किया था तो कोई ऐसा कोर्स भी नहीं होता था. अब तो बहुत सारे MBA के अंदर कोर्सेज भी आ चुके हैं रियल एस्टेट मैनेजमेंट.
ये बताओ जरा, ये बताओ.
मैंने सुना ही है, मैंने इतना डिटेल में इसको नहीं स्टडी किया.
एमिटी में तो आया, ये मुझे मालूम है.
सो आई थिंक लॉट ऑफ कोर्सेज आर आल्सो देयर ऑन रियल एस्टेट मैनेजमेंट. बहुत सारी चीज़ें अब आ रखी हैं इसके ऊपर, तो थोड़ा इसके ऊपर और ज्ञान प्राप्त कर सकते हैं लोग जो कि इंटरेस्टेड है.
एंड एक चीज़ और बताओ, आप गिवन यू आर सक्सेसफुल, यू आर एट द हेल्म ऑफ रियल एस्टेट. सी गुड़गांव को हम देखते हैं कि टॉप सिटीज़ में से एक है रियल एस्टेट में, एंड यू आर वर्किंग विद वन ऑफ द टॉप डेवलपर्स एट अ टॉप नेशनल head positions. What kind of lifestyle do you enjoy, or you're just busy selling?
So the lifestyle that one should aspire for is to live in a beautiful condominium with your family, in which you have a very good clubhouse, and that is what. So let me just sell a little bit here that of course all developers do strive to do that. So I'm definitely sure that many of the new projects that we are coming up with, one which we are just about to come up as well, we are taking care of that in a very big way. So I think genuinely if I look at it, condominium living has a lot of positives. क्योंकि वो वहाँ ना एक कम्युनिटी फीलिंग बेटर डेवलप हो जाती है, जो कि इंडिपेंडेंट बंगलों के अंदर आप कभी कर ही नहीं सकते. दूसरा एडवांटेज ये होता है दैट आपकी फैमिली को भी ना एक ग्रोथ की अपॉर्चुनिटी ज़्यादा मिलती है. योर चिल्ड्रन आर एबल टू interact and indulge in sports, in lot of activities like swimming, squash, tennis, all of that. फिर 24/7 आपका electricity power is taken care of.
Safety is
Some
there.
of the safety is there. The quality of construction in A-grade developers is remarkable. तो ये सब चीज़ें बहुत अच्छी हैं. And that is what every good professional should aspire for. Given whatever budget they have, you've got various apartments in various budgets. But I personally feel that condominium living is far, far, far better than an individual bungalow living. But now I think what has happened is I'm very happy, especially in BPTP. So there, within our townships also, let's say Amstoria, Estaire, in Faridabad, Pride, which is there, Parklands, our districts that we have developed. So you've got clubs within these townships as well. So, and those are all 7-star clubs, 7-star, clubs which are given with amenities, every conceivable luxury that can be done, including banquet hall, movie theater, all of these facilities, swimming pool, all of that provided, gymnasium again, and all of this top of the end line. So आपकी ना your family's development and orientation becomes far better.
Far better in a gated community. Now, future of real estate in India.
Future in real estate in India is very bright because people's aspirations has gone up quite a lot. Everyone is looking at and everyone is traveled globally also. तो लोग बहुत evolve हो चुके हैं. तो मेरे को यही लगता है कि जिस तरीके से अब कुछ चीज़ें जो लग्जरी होती थी आज से 5 साल पहले आज बेसिक हो चुकी हैं. तो मतलब इस लेवल के क्लब हाउसेज हम कभी नहीं सोचते थे कि आज से 10 साल पहले कि ये बेसिक हो जाएगा. आज वो हो चुका है बिकॉज पीपल्स टेस्ट प्रेफरेंसेज आर चेंजिंग विद टाइम. सो आई थिंक दिस इज अ ग्रेजुअल प्रोसेस. I think very bright future overall for Indian real estate, and today very happy that NRIs are investing back in a very big way, because their confidence level on Indian real estate has gone up because they're only good developers today. And the system, RERA and the other things that government has done, वो उसने ensure किया है कि वो confidence वापस आ जाए.
Thank you so much Harinder ji. It was a very rich conversation with you और आपने हमारे को सिर्फ गुड़गांव नहीं, नोएडा, फरीदाबाद सबका ओवरव्यू दिया. Thank you for sharing your experiences with us.
Thank you so much.
आपका ऐसे ही एकदम ऐसे पूछते हैं कि आपका स्टाइलिस्ट कौन है. मतलब आपका शॉपिंग करने कौन जाता है.